fluidity to be a mix of human and environment, or human and animal. Yeah, and sort of what wisdom we could learn from other kinds of non-humans besides machines.
Excellent. And you mentioned something, and I think that the correct word here, you used the word, it's perihelium, is that correct?
Mm-hmm. Yep.
Okay, perihelium. And it reminded me of a song, and I'm sure you know who the singer is. She's back a few years, though. You've heard of Katie Lang?
Sure.
Okay. Anyway, she had a song, and I can picture your poem with that part of that song. And, of course, when she was singing that song, and it's fascinating because, you said the perihelium, the orbits, and so often that's what we look for in going into math and things. The perihelium, I guess you would say, would be the closest point, where we have, like, our orbits contact, or the closest they're in contact with each other, and how they influence each other. And that makes sense, your poem and everything, the perihelium. And I love that description, because often that's what we see in people's own relationships that they have. There can be two male, or two male and a female, a male and two male, a female and two males, or whatever, and it's their orbits and where they make contact with each other, and where their closest orbits are, and what happens in their interface with each other, and that's the lives that they have. And it's amazing about, when you think about this. I love that description. I'm going to remember that, the perihelium.
Yes. Thank you.
That's excellent.
Yeah, well, thanks. Yeah, I mean, comparing my poem to a Katie Lang song is like a great lesbian compliment, so I really appreciate that.
Thank you. Yeah, well, I always loved her as a singer too. She was great, especially when she did those with Roy Orbison. That's been a few years ago, but anyway. Okay, so we have those. You have those down. What about? Okay, we had the cyborg with the Turing test. The ones that you did, I guess you were just showing the different words. What's the word? Cognation. What's it called? The words were all similar. It's called.
Cognates. The cognates.
The cognates. Yes. And what was that you were showing? What were you trying to show there? That I guess that how just a small change in a letter can make a total difference meanings of the words and how they're used and so forth. Maybe.
Yeah. So that's one of a series of poems that's in the voice of one of those languageless robot figures that I mentioned being drawn to in popular culture. So that's this character CHI from a manga and anime called Chobits. And she is an android. Yeah, she's an android who's pulled out of a dumpster by the protagonist who, can't afford an android of his own. So he finds one in a dumpster, turns it on, and it turns out that she's like very beautiful, but there's something wrong with her. And the thing that's wrong with her is that she can't seem to speak regular language. The only thing that she can say is the sound chi, which is written out as CHI in the English translations. And so that's what they end up calling her, because it's like the one sound that she can make. And so I was really fascinated once again by this character. And I thought about, if that's the only sound that she can make, if that's her only language, or if people look at that language and say, oh, that's not language, what are the other possibilities that the people around this character might not be seeing? If really that's her only word, then that means that one word contains all meaning, right? And so I wanted to basically just propose that this one word could contain all other words by changing it slightly. And so the word chi repeats lots of times, but like changes slightly in order to change meaning. There's a poem where there's a series of translations of common phrases in the Chi language that's basically just like Chi ? Or Chi, Chi, period. And what all of those different things could mean. I think once again, it's just taking Asian languages as a thing that the Western world might look at as being very strange or inscrutable or like not like language at all, right? And kind of propose that yes, this thing that seems so absolutely foreign to you contains all of the intricacies of meaning that are available to human understanding, and that also that by extension that experiences and bodies that might read to you as very foreign contain interiorities that are as complex as yours.
Exactly, and that's fascinating. I'm picturing something here in my mind as you were talking. Actually, you were explaining, and as you said, how she was picked up out of a dumpster and stuff. Are you? Yeah. I'm sure you're familiar with the movie The Fifth Element. Have you seen that?
I don't think I've ever seen The Fifth Element. No.
Okay, well, you need to take time and watch it, and you'll see how closely you describe the person who is the fifth element. She was created actually from the arm of a robot or something from the DNA.
Right.
Yes, and then she can't speak or anything, and she's super intelligent, and she learns the languages and everything. If you see the movie sometime, you'll see the connections you've made in your poem there too about your character Chi and how that could be a similar person. And of course, she goes on, and I won't ruin the movie for you, but she saves everything in the end. So
sure. But, I mean, it's a pretty common trope, right? Of the alien girl or the artificially intelligent girl or robot girl who is both supremely innocent and also supremely dangerous.
Yes.
Yeah. I mean, that trope was definitely on my mind as I was thinking about this book, and it was also sort of like, okay, like if this trope is used to put women in some sort of corner, what else is in that corner that might be interesting and that might be empowering as well?
I think the world's going to be so much richer when we get many more of our people who are able to contribute like this, and from so many different cultures and the different sexual identities and things that we have in our society, and they can express themselves freely. It's going to be add a lot more to our culture, and I think we have a future ahead of us in that area, assuming that we still have a planet left here, it's not destroyed by climate change or something else, and we can figure it out and get solutions made for it. I want you to start summarizing a little bit here because we have a few minutes left here, but
sure.
I want to summarize some of your thoughts, that your main thoughts here as we go through this, and put them together in the last 4 or 5 minutes we got here. Okay, can you give me some ideas that you want people to get across, the main thoughts you want to get across in this book?
Oh, sure. I mean, I guess one thing is that, first of all, I know that the book is called Soft Science, but I like to remind people that I'm not a scientist of anything but my own weird feelings. So, if you happen to read this book and you think like, oh, that's not actually how machine learning works, then I completely trust that you're right. But I'll say, all of that aside, I'll say that if there's maybe one thing that I want to get across, it's that believing that other people have lives that are as complex and beautiful and strange as your own is not an easy thing to do. But I think that it's a very worthy task, and it's sort of the only task that I think will save us. It's if there's a second lesson that's sort of like an addendum to that, it's that people who are marginalized in this country, in this world, whether because of race, gender, sexual orientation, immigration status, etc. It's true that people who are marginalized have gone through a lot of struggle and have experienced a world that is sort of bent on their destruction. But that doesn't also mean that they don't have desires and dreams for themselves, that we have a vision for the world that we want to make. And I hope that this is a book that centers not just the violence and the damage that's been done to us, but also the dreams that we have for ourselves and for this world that we're trying to make. And then, so I guess that those would be the two things. If I'm going to leave anyone with anything, I guess those are the two things.
That's excellent. It's very descriptive, and I believe you're certainly on target there with saying, the lives and aspirations of our people with immigrants, their different immigrant status, their immigration statuses, and different nationalities and so forth that make up the American experience here. Because, out of our Constitution and so forth, it says, from many, one. And that's what the United States is supposed to have been. Unfortunately, we have a situation now in our own politics where things have taken it. Some people believe that's not the way things should be here, but I'm hoping that in the near future we can reverse course and go back to where we were going, and again have out of many one. And that's what the United States dream was supposed to be, and what this country was founded on. And anyway, we're going to close here, and I want to give you about 30 seconds to give me some of your last thoughts, and I want to thank you for this wonderful interview, and looking forward again to seeing you down in Miami at the Miami Book Fair.
Yeah, thank you. Thank you so much. I'm really looking forward, like I said, to being there in Miami. And I guess I'll just plug the last thing I'll do is plug the event. It's with Stacey Ann Chin and Lalon Osman and Hanif Abdurraqib, who are all incredible poets who have new books out this year or last year, and it'll be on that Saturday in the afternoon. I can't remember what time, but even if you didn't like what you heard from me, definitely come for the others because they are great.
Sounds great. Franny, looking forward to seeing you at the Miami Book Fair, and thank you. And this is Steve Ryan with Coastal Rainbow Forum on Society by its Radio, and thank you so much for the interview.